Most people move through life in invisible chains. They don't recognize them because the prison is disguised as kindness and virtue. Every time you bend your will to satisfy someone else, you hand them another string to pull. Centuries ago, Machiavelli warned that the craving to be loved is not just a weakness of rulers, but of ordinary men and women. The hunger for approval makes you predictable, pliable, and easily controlled. If another person can give or withhold your sense of worth, then they own you. Think back to the last time you said yes when your soul was screaming no. That small concession seemed harmless, but it trained the other person. You showed them you could be bent, and once that lesson is learned, it is never forgotten. The world is filled with smiling faces that quietly pull your strings. They sense your desire to be liked, and they ration affection like currency. They recognize your need for praise, and they dispense it in doses just enough to keep you hooked. Machiavelli saw the truth. The desire for love is unstable. Affections shift. Moods change. Loyalty evaporates the moment it is inconvenient. What you mistake for devotion is often nothing more than fragile tolerance. Fear, on the other hand, endures. Respect, unlike affection, is built on boundaries, and boundaries are the true foundation of power, not love, not approval. But the ability to say, "This is where I stand." Here lies the cruel paradox. From childhood, you are conditioned to chase approval. You are praised for obedience, rewarded for compliance, celebrated for pleasing others. Like a pet trained by rewards, you learn to exchange your truth for validation. And this conditioning doesn't vanish in adulthood. It follows you into friendships, careers, and relationships. Everywhere society nudges you to sacrifice your sovereignty for the comfort of others. The cost is devastating. You end up living for everyone but yourself, contorting your soul like a chameleon to keep the peace. In the process, you lose your edges, your identity, your strength. Machiavelli called this the sickness of rulers who long to be loved. The prince who depends on affection becomes hostage to the people's moods. One day they cheer him, the next they betray him, and he has no defense. Now ask yourself, how many of your choices have been made to avoid disapproval, not because they were true to you? How much of your life has been wasted preserving your image instead of protecting your power? The approval seeker thinks they are winning favor. In reality, they are bleeding respect. People instinctively sense when your actions are driven by fear of rejection, and silently they despise it. Here is the paradox. The more you strive to please, the less people value you. The more you bend, the more you signal weakness. The more you beg for love, the quicker it is withheld simply to test you. Machiavelli stripped away illusions of morality to reveal human nature as it is: self-interested, calculating, ruthless. And his verdict was clear: the man desperate to be liked is the easiest man to destroy. Approval seeking is not harmless. It is a vulnerability predators can smell. Manipulators, narcissists, and abusers thrive on it. They know they can toy with you like a cat with a mouse granting affection, then withdrawing it to watch you dance for more. This is why Machiavelli prized reputation over affection. He knew survival depended not on being liked, but on being respected. And reputation collapses the moment you betray yourself for approval. Look at history's fallen leaders. Rarely did they fall for lack of intelligence. They fell because they tried to please everyone and in the end pleased no one. The same pattern appears everywhere. The businessman who overpromises to make clients happy ends up despised when he fails. The partner who never says no ends up abandoned. The politician who bends to every demand is remembered as weak and forgettable. Psychologically, the dynamic is simple but destructive. When your sense of worth depends on others' acceptance, you live in permanent servitude. Every smile, every silence, every frown becomes a verdict on your value. This is not kindness, it is slavery. And the most insidious part, the world praises it. The selfless, the accommodating, the always available are celebrated while quietly being exploited. Machiavelli would scoff at such innocence. He would tell you, stop trying to be loved, start demanding respect. Because respect is the only armor that lasts when affection turns cold. Respect comes from boundaries, from the power to say no, from the refusal to kneel. Respect grows when people realize you cannot be bribed with praise or broken by silence. But what does being a puppet actually look like in your daily life? It looks like nodding at ideas you despise, smiling at insults to keep the peace, over-explaining yourself to avoid a raised eyebrow. It looks like shaping your personality to fit the room instead of shaping the room with your presence. Performing endlessly for others while neglecting the performance that matters, your own destiny, living as a background character in everyone else's story while abandoning your own. And this is not just sad, it is dangerous, because the person who lives for approval will do anything to keep it. And when you'll do anything, you'll betray everything, your values, your dignity, even your soul. Machiavelli saw this as the tragedy of weak rulers. Crowds manipulate with cheers and destroy with jeers. The sovereign who relies on their love becomes their servant, not their leader. And the same is true for you. If you live for applause, you'll crumble when it fades. If you live for smiles, you'll collapse when they turn to scorn. Deep down, you already know this feeling. You felt the exhaustion of being everyone's puppet. You felt the emptiness of tying your worth to approval you can never control. That emptiness is not random, it is the price of living for others instead of yourself. And Machiavelli's warning is clear: if you don't cut the strings, they will eventually cut you down. This is the beginning of the journey. Part 1 is the diagnosis, the exposure of the disease called people-pleasing. In the next part, we will confront the trap itself, how the world weaponizes your hunger for approval. Because here is the truth: they already know you crave love. And once they know that, they know how to own you. Unless you learn how to flip the script, you'll remain their puppet forever. The hunger to be liked is not harmless. It is the tool by which others rule you without force. It becomes the leash slipped quietly around your neck, disguised as affection, disguised as care. What feels like love is often nothing more than control. Machiavelli knew this well. He saw rulers who basked in applause only to become captives of their people. He understood that loyalty rooted in affection is shallow and fleeting. One mistake, one unpopular choice, and the love that once lifted them vanishes like smoke in the wind. The same law governs your life. Your boss, your friends, your partner, they all learn how to manipulate your need for approval. The moment they sense that belonging matters more to you than truth, they realize they can bend you without resistance. Look at the modern workplace. The employee, desperate for validation, works endless hours, sacrifices health and family, and never dares to ask for fair compensation. Management calls him dedicated, but in truth, he is nothing more than a puppet dancing for scraps of recognition. The brilliance of this trap is its subtlety. They don't have to command, punish, or threaten. A raised eyebrow, a sigh of disappointment, a withheld smile, that's all it takes to make you fold. This is the economy of approval. You think you're earning affection, but you're being conditioned. Like a rat pressing a lever for crumbs, you perform tricks inside a cage you never chose. Machiavelli would call this a fatal flaw. A man addicted to approval cannot stand tall, cannot lead, cannot negotiate. He is chained to the moods of others, waiting for the next hit of praise to feel whole. Parents wield it with guilt. Friends wield it with peer pressure. Employers wield it with empty promises of promotion. The message is always the same: don't let us down, don't be selfish, don't step out of line. And so you bow. Every nod, every forced smile, every swallowed truth costs you something. It costs you your authenticity, your dignity, and eventually your respect. People may thank you for pleasing them, but deep down, they never honor the man who cannot say no. Machiavelli was blunt. Weakness invites manipulation. The moment others sense you need their approval, they no longer need weapons. You'll hand them your sword willingly. Consider politics. The leader who tries to satisfy everyone ends up despised by all. The leader who dares to stand firm may be hated by some, but he is respected by many. Consider relationships. The partner who endlessly sacrifices to keep the peace eventually loses value. What is given without struggle, what is surrendered too easily, is never cherished. This is the imbalance approval creates. One person becomes the giver, the other the taker. Soon, the giver is no longer loved, they are used. Machiavelli's genius was stripping away illusions. He forced us to see love not as noble devotion, but as conditional trade. People love you when it serves them. When it doesn't, they disappear. This is not pessimism, it is reality. Think of the friends who vanished once you stopped being useful. Think of the partners who grew cold the moment you stopped giving endlessly. Their love was a transaction. The cycle is cruel. You imagine you're buying loyalty, but you're actually teaching disloyalty. The more you bend to please, the less weight your sacrifices carry. And yet society praises this weakness. It dresses people-pleasing in beautiful words: selfless, agreeable, team player. But beneath the compliments lies exploitation. They don't admire your virtue, they admire how easy you are to control. Machiavelli would never have fallen for such flattery. He knew the crowd praises the harmless only to keep them harmless. They call you virtuous, not because you're strong, but because you pose no threat. The trap is everywhere. Social media thrives on it, dangling likes, hearts, and follows as bait. You shape your identity to fit trends, desperate to be seen, desperate to belong. You call it connection, but it's a digital whip cracking against your back. And here lies the cruel twist. The more you chase it, the more hollow you feel. Deep down, you know applause that comes conditionally can never make you secure. It only deepens the emptiness. This is why Machiavelli told rulers to detach from affection. Applause fades. Only strength, boundaries, and the respect they create can endure the shifting winds of opinion. The same applies to you. If your worth depends on applause, you are never the author of your life. You are a marionette twitching to the pull of strings you didn't tie. The world exploits this weakness at every level. Advertisers whisper, if you don't buy this, you'll be rejected. Religions teach belonging through obedience, threatening exile the moment you disobey. Governments equate dissent with betrayal, pressuring you to comply for the sake of the collective. Approval is the softest, most invisible chain of all, and those who crave it most are the easiest to enslave. Ask yourself, who has the most power over you right now? It's rarely the wealthy or the powerful. It's the person whose disapproval terrifies you. That is your true master. This is the silent hierarchy of approval. You call yourself free, but you measure every move against the fear of losing favor. You call yourself independent, but your life bends around the threat of rejection. The irony is brutal. People admire those who refuse to please. They are called strong, mysterious, untouchable. They may be resented, but they are respected. Meanwhile, the ever-accommodating are quietly despised. Their kindness mistaken for cowardice, their flexibility mistaken for weakness. This is the deadliness of the approval trap. You think you're gaining affection, but you're losing value. You think you're securing loyalty, but you're training betrayal. Machiavelli's lesson is merciless yet liberating. To desire love is human, but to depend on it is fatal. And if you depend on it, you will never cut the strings. Approval is a drug. It soothes in the moment, but leaves you emptier afterward. And like any addict, you'll chase it harder until it destroys you. The rulers Machiavelli mocked were addicts of applause. They rose quickly on cheers but fell faster when those cheers turned to silence. The man who lives for approval always dies by disapproval. The puppet always breaks when the master grows bored. This is the trap, slavery disguised as virtue. And until you kill your addiction to validation, you will never stand free. Breaking free requires ruthlessness. It means learning to face rejection without flinching. It means walking through silence without needing to fill it. It means letting go of the leash of belonging, even if it means standing alone. And that is where we turn next. If this part revealed the cage, the next will hand you the knife. The Machiavellian art of becoming untouchable begins when you refuse to be owned. So how do you stop being their puppet? How do you cut the strings when every instinct in you has been conditioned to chase approval? The solution is not comfort, it is confrontation with yourself. The first truth is this: you are hooked. Approval is your drug, validation is your dose, and disapproval is your withdrawal. Until you admit this addiction, change will never come. Machiavelli would remind you, weakness cannot be healed by wishing it is disciplined out of you. You cannot dream your way into power. You must retrain your instincts through deliberate, uncomfortable practice. Your dependence grows in silence, and so the cure begins there as well. You must learn to endure the silence that follows a firm refusal. You must sit in the tension without rushing to fill it with excuses or softening words. When someone frowns because you said no, do not explain. When someone sighs in disappointment, do not defend yourself. Let their discomfort remain exactly where it belongs, with them, not you. This is the Machiavellian craft of sovereign presence. Control is projected not by over-explaining, but by holding your ground in calm silence. And nothing unsettles a manipulator more than your refusal to justify yourself. Each time you resist the urge to explain, your authority sharpens. Each time you endure another's disapproval without flinching, you grow harder to move. This is how you train others to see you as untouchable. But let's be clear, this is not arrogance. It is not shouting, boasting, or posturing. It is detachment, mastery over your own emotions, so they no longer dance to someone else's tune. Think of the people you admire most. Rarely are they the ones desperate to please. They are the ones who seem grounded, distant, and sovereign, people who carry an aura of mystery and self-possession. That aura is not magic, it is practice. It is born of refusing to beg for approval and of learning to withstand being disliked without collapse. This is the discipline that builds quiet power. Machiavelli understood that power was as much perception as reality. What people believe about you shapes how they treat you, and nothing makes you appear weaker than scrambling for affection. The reversal is simple but radical. Stop chasing, let others come to you. When you no longer pursue, you flip the frame. They begin to wonder why you don't need them, and your independence draws them closer. This is the paradox of strength. The less you need, the more you attract. The more still you stand, the more others move toward you. The moment you stop begging for love is the moment love begins to chase you. But how do you build this state? You must silence your inner negotiator, the desperate voice that pleads, "Please don't be angry with me." That voice must be drowned out by deliberate acts of defiance. Start small. Refuse minor requests that drain your energy. Watch how the world doesn't collapse when you hold your ground. Then escalate. Say no to larger demands, decline invitations, reject manipulations, all without apology. At first, it feels terrifying. Your pulse quickens, your palms sweat, and you fear being abandoned. But each act of resistance weakens that fear, and each victory makes you stronger. Machiavelli knew appearances create reality. If you appear unmoved by disapproval, people begin to believe you truly are. And once they believe it, they adjust how they treat you, because perception shapes power. The next strategy is selective silence. Not every insult deserves your reply. In truth, many attacks collapse under their own weight when you refuse to acknowledge them. When you're gossiped about, don't defend. When you're slandered, don't justify. Leave their words unanswered and watch them wither without the oxygen of your attention. This is Machiavellian theater. Your silence creates mystery, unease, and even fear. People wonder, is it power, is it calculation, or is it indifference? The uncertainty unsettles them more than any response could. And here's the truth. They fear all three. A person who cannot be provoked is a person who cannot be controlled. That is the very essence of sovereignty. Another principle is scarcity. Stop making yourself endlessly available. What is too easy to access loses its value. Presence becomes powerful only when it is limited. Machiavelli wrote that a prince must avoid being too familiar, for familiarity breeds contempt, while distance creates reverence. Apply this to your life. Don't respond instantly. Don't drop everything when summoned. Don't make yourself cheap. Make your time valuable. Make your attention earned. Show that access to you is a privilege, not an entitlement. This doesn't make you cold, it makes you sovereign. It signals your life belongs to you, not to the whims of others. Another shift is in your definition of kindness. True kindness is not about pleasing everyone. It is about respecting yourself first. Without self-respect, kindness becomes nothing more than disguised submission. People pleasers think they're generous, but in reality, they are bargaining, trading compliance for affection. When that affection doesn't come, they feel betrayed. Machiavelli would laugh at this foolishness. He would say, give without expectation or don't give at all. Conditional giving is not generosity, it is manipulation. When you abandon this bargain, you free yourself. You help because you choose, not because you fear rejection. This shift transforms everything. People feel the difference between a gift born of strength and one born of desperation. Only the first earns respect. To cut the strings, you must also embrace conflict. People pleasers avoid conflict at all costs, which makes them easy prey. But the Machiavellian approach is the opposite. Conflict is not an enemy, it is a weapon. To live without being someone's puppet is to live sovereign, free from invisible strings. It means standing at the center of your life with unshakable presence and certainty. Your value is not written by others, but carved permanently by your own will. Machiavelli never argued against kindness or the beauty of generosity. He did not tell rulers to be cruel for cruelty's sake or to despise love. What he warned against was dependence, the fatal weakness of needing approval to act. Dependence poisons every gift and corrupts every gesture of goodwill. If you give because you fear rejection, it is not freedom, but submission. If you love out of fear of being unloved, it is not strength, but slavery. The sovereign self gives only on his own chosen terms and timing. He is kind, but never desperate, firm in his independence of spirit. He is generous, but never needy, for his strength lies in self-sufficiency. This balance is the essence of true and lasting power. The world respects the man who chooses to give freely, not compulsively. Choice is strength, while compulsion is weakness easily exploited. Imagine walking through life without bending to invisible chains of approval. Imagine knowing rejection cannot wound you, for your worth is untouchable. Imagine relationships where you are chosen out of respect, not tolerated from convenience. This is sovereignty, the highest state of inner power and freedom. It is not arrogance, though the weak will falsely call it that. It is not cruelty, though manipulators will accuse it of harshness. It is clarity, rooted in firm conviction and boundaries unshaken by opinion. It is refusing to hand your strings to anyone, no matter their smile. It is knowing with certainty that you are whole, with or without applause. Machiavelli's warning is as sharp now as in Renaissance Italy. Rulers then lived or died by the approval of shifting crowds. Today, ordinary men live or die by the approval of strangers online. Social media has become the modern court of the fragile prince. Every like is a nod from the faceless crowd demanding compliance. Every silence feels like exile, and every unfollow feels like betrayal. And yet, those who rise above approval become magnetic and unshaken. They speak without fear, act without waiting for likes, and remain firm. In a world of puppets, sovereignty burns like rare fire against the dark. The sovereign self does not ignore others, but he does not kneel. He listens, but never bends from fear or the need to be liked. He chooses connection freely, but never dependence disguised as loyalty. This makes him unpredictable and impossible to control by manipulation. A puppet moves whenever its strings are pulled and bent by others. But a sovereign moves only when he decides, terrifying those who scheme. Machiavelli valued fear above love, not out of cruelty, but realism. Love can vanish in an instant, withdrawn by mood or convenience. Respect, rooted in firm boundaries, however, is far harder to shake. Your task is not to become unlovable nor cold or distant. Your task is to be unowned, unbent, and free from control. Love may come and go, but sovereignty must remain eternal. Think of the leaders who carved their names into lasting history. They were never the ones who tried endlessly to please everyone. They were the ones who stood firm even when hated for it. True power always attracts resistance, never universal approval or comfort. If no one resists you, you have been too busy pleasing them. The sovereign accepts resistance willingly because it is the price of respect. In daily life, sovereignty reveals itself in boundaries that protect you. You do not chase friends who ghost you or beg to be kept. You do not plead with partners who withhold affection as leverage. Instead, you stand still and let absence reveal true loyalty in others. The sovereign knows distance is a filter that reveals true intentions. It separates those who respect strength from those who exploit weakness. Every refusal to beg is reclaiming a piece of your hidden power. Every standalone moment makes you more solid, steady, and unshaken. Every silence of craving builds sovereignty deeper into your spirit. Machiavelli's world was brutal, but his insights were brutally clear. Power belongs to those who cannot be bent or manipulated easily, and nothing manipulated